What's going on, guys? It's Greg here, aka NYPrepper. It is Tuesday, May 28th, 2024, and I have another emergency alert to share with you guys. Right now it is 12:25 Eastern Time here in the United States, and we have some major breaking news coming in from the Baltics. So, we had a B-52 US nuclear bomber fly into the Suwalki Gap earlier this morning, and it was looping in the Suwalki Gap for a long period of time. Now, in addition to that B 52, which is a nuclear bomber, it's part of our nuclear triad, and we also had several Apache attack helicopters fly through the Suwalki Gap at the same time, and we also had about half a dozen NATO reconnaissance planes patrolling the Baltic Sea and Poland and the Baltic countries. So I cannot stress to you how serious this is. I have never seen anything like this before, and I've been monitoring this region of the world for the last couple of years with the flight trackers almost on a daily basis. So what you're looking at here is the flight path of that B 52, and you can see it was making multiple loops here right next to Kaliningrad, which is a Russian province that is geographically isolated from the rest of Russia. It's sandwiched between Lithuania and Poland. Here's the Suwalki Gap, and it was just looping just southwest of Kaunas. And there were also two Apache helicopters that were flying nearby at the same time. So this is extremely serious, guys. I cannot stress to you how serious this is. An American nuclear bomber flying into the Suwalki Gap, doing loops right outside of Kaliningrad this morning. And here you can see the two Apache attack helicopters that took off from Sauli, Lithuania, and they flew through the Suwalki Gap into northern Poland along the border of Russia and Poland. So this is extremely serious. Something is brewing. Now, in addition to that B 52 and the Apaches, you can see here all the NATO reconnaissance planes in Poland and the Baltic Sea. We had a Swedish reconnaissance plane patrolling the central Baltic Sea. This was an Argus plane. Then we also had this German reconnaissance plane here flying in the central Baltic. And then we also had a Swedish reconnaissance plane patrolling eastern and northern Poland. And then we also had an Italian AWACS plane patrolling eastern Poland along its border with Belarus, all at the same time as the B 52 and the Apache. So this is just absolutely insane. I've never seen anything like this before. Something is brewing, guys. Here's a closer look at the Italian AWACS plane flying back and forth along the Polish-Belarus border here in eastern Poland. And then here you can see the Swedish reconnaissance plane flying in the same area as the Italian AWACS plane. And then here we have the NATO or German reconnaissance plane looping in the Baltic Sea, patrolling the area off the coast of Kaliningrad, facing Kaliningrad, basically keeping an eye on the Russian Baltic fleet. And then the Swedish Argus plane, which is also a reconnaissance plane, flying in the same area. Okay, so this is extremely concerning. We also had two German heavy cargo planes fly to the Baltics. We had one land in Tallinn, Estonia, and then we had another one land in Vilnius. Okay, so NATO and especially Germany have been flying a lot of military cargo planes into the Baltics the last couple of weeks. And my guess is because they're reinforcing the Baltics with ammunition and equipment because Russia and Belarus are about to attack. Okay, so they're moving equipment in just to have it on standby. This is very, very serious, guys. And I want to remind you that last week on the 24th of May, we had two B 52s fly up into the Baltic Sea and loiter off the coast of Sweden near Stockholm. Okay, and then today, this morning, we had this B 52 looping literally right next to Kaliningrad in the Suwalki Gap. That is a huge statement to Russia. And all this happening at the same time as a source on the ground that I have in New York City reporting to me this morning that there were multiple fighter jets flying over Manhattan, okay, which is extremely unusual. And then a viewer sent me an email this morning saying that there were as many as 40 Army attack helicopters in Enterprise, Alabama at 10:42 in the morning Central Time. Okay, so 40 Army helicopters in Alabama, fighter jets over New York City, nuclear bomber over the Suwalki Gap, half a dozen reconnaissance planes in the Baltics. Very, very serious situation, guys. And we also have some major breaking news coming in from the Pacific Theater. America is considering putting long range cruise missiles with nuclear warheads on their Virginia class nuclear attack subs in the Pacific as a deterrence move against China, according to USNI News. Senators and congressmen were debating the move this month due to a tactical nuclear weapon disparity with China and Russia in the Pacific Theater, who have both been focusing more on lower yield nuclear weapons, while the U.S. still has mostly strategic weapons to deal with an escalation in the Pacific. The only thing the U.S. has would be bombers, and bombers take a long time to deploy. And this update was sponsored by My Patriot Supply. Guys, My Patriot Supply has brought back their 25% discount on their 3-month emergency food supply. And to get the discount, you have to use the link preparewith NYPrepper.com. And the link is in the description below this video. And this 3-month emergency food supply has a 25-year shelf life with over 2,000 calories per day, all packed inside of 6 rugged water-resistant buckets. Free shipping is included. The normal price is $800. If you use the link, you'll only pay $600 for 3 months of food with free shipping. So use the link preparewithnyprepper.com to get 25% off of the My Patriot Supply 3-month emergency food supply, and the link is in the description below this video. And they're vulnerable to air defenses. They could get shot down. So the U.S. considering putting long-range cruise missiles with nuclear warheads on their Virginia-class nuclear attack subs in the Pacific. This is a huge move, okay? And I think it's going to happen. It's obviously going to take them some time to adapt these attack subs to launch these long-range missiles. My guess is they're probably going to put some Tomahawks with the W-80 nuclear warheads on them, but I could be wrong. Major breaking news coming in from Poland this morning. Poland has frozen the movement of Russian diplomats inside of their country. The Polish foreign minister stated the following late last night. Due to Russia's participation in the hybrid war against the European Union, including against Poland, I decided to impose restrictions on the movement of Russian diplomats in our country. Wow. And this came just a day after Dmitry Medvedev, the former president of Russia and Putin's butt buddy, threatened Poland with nuclear attack, saying that Poland would get its share of nuclear dust. So obviously this is Poland's way of punishing Russia for threatening nuclear dust on Poland. And several Israeli tanks have now reached the center of Rafah. And my guess is that these tanks are just a reconnaissance force. They are not the main assault force. So everybody's getting so excited about this now. And, you know, all the so-called experts on social media are talking about this, but these are just reconnaissance forces. This is not the main assault element that Israel is sending in. It's just a small group of tanks, and it's just a probing element. They're checking to see what kind of maybe booby traps. They're scoping out the area before they send in their main assault force. And Egyptian sources are reporting that the Egyptian soldier Islam Ibrahim Abdul Razik died due to injuries sustained from Israeli army gunfire near the Egyptian-Palestinian border in Rafah. So we have Egyptian sources reporting that this Egyptian soldier was killed during that gunfire exchange on the Egyptian Rafah border crossing area. So this is very, very serious. We know that Egypt has already moved banned weapons to the Sinai Peninsula under the Sinai Agreement that they signed with Israel. I think that was back in the 70s. After the Yom Kippur War, Egypt signed an agreement saying they would not move certain types of equipment and certain numbers of equipment to the Sinai. Well, now they've massed tanks and missiles and air defenses in the Sinai. So we could even see a war between Egypt and Israel over Rafah, because Egypt has already threatened Israel. And now Egypt is getting closer to Iran. And yesterday I reported that Iran has started producing weapons grade uranium. Okay, so that is very, very serious, guys. So it looks like we're going to have a 5-front world war starting any day now. We're going to have the Baltics and Poland. We're going to have Ukraine. We're going to have North Korea and South Korea, China and Taiwan. And then also now Egypt and Israel, potentially Iran and Israel, Lebanon and Israel. I mean, it's just absolutely insane. So you need to get prepared. Make sure you have a nuclear war survival plan. Check out my nuclear war survival playlist. I'll leave a link in the top right corner. You need to have a fallout shelter. You need to have a bug out bag. You need to have a plan. That's the most important thing, is a fallout shelter and a plan, and at least 2 weeks of food and water. That's all you need. Okay, you don't need an Atlas survival shelter in your backyard worth $100,000. You don't need that. And even if you don't have a basement, you can find a suitable structure that can protect you from radiation. I've done videos about it, multiple videos about how to find a fallout shelter. If you live in an area where there are no basements, you can still find above ground structures that are dense enough that can protect you. Okay, so check out my videos. I'll leave a link in the top right corner. And North Korea's attempt to launch its second spy satellite ended in failure as the rocket exploded shortly after liftoff on Monday. So that was probably that kaboom we saw in the video. It wasn't Japan's Patriot missiles that shot it down. It looks like the rocket just went kaboom in the air before it got up to a high enough altitude. And Ukraine is preparing to attack the territory of the Russian Federation with long-range missiles, according to Defense Express. This is evidenced by strikes on radar systems. If Ukrainian drones are already flying such a long distance, it also indicates that the routes are being developed very seriously. Drones flying to such a great distance scan the territory of the Russian Federation for the presence of air defense systems. And Japan intercepted a Chinese reconnaissance, attack, and electronic warfare drone for the first time near Okinawa. On May 27th, Japanese fighter jets monitored the drone over the East China Sea. The flight path indicated ISR along the Okinawa Prefecture and Southwest Islands, home to PAC-3 missile systems. Okay, PAC-3 are the Patriot systems, and here's a picture of that Chinese reconnaissance drone and the path that this thing took. It was doing an ISR path, an intelligence, surveillance, and reconnaissance path near Okinawa. That's a major American base, a major Japanese base. So this is very, very serious. And Russia's recent gains in the Kharkiv Oblast in Ukraine are a direct consequence of Ukraine's partners not allowing strikes on military targets inside of Russia with Western supplied weapons, according to Latvian President Edgars Rinkēvičs in an interview with CNN on May 27th. So we're seeing more of a push by NATO countries to allow Ukraine to strike Russian military targets inside of Russia, especially near Kharkiv, because what Russia has done, they're not stupid. Okay, they know that NATO is scared of them, and they know that NATO is forcing Ukraine to fight with their hands tied behind their back. So what they're doing is they're launching glide bombs from inside of Russian territory, and those glide bombs have a range of about 10 to 15 miles, which is just enough to reach the outskirts of Kharkiv. And because Ukraine is not allowed to shoot down Russian jets over Russia, the Russian jets literally just fly right up to the Ukrainian border, release the bombs, and just annihilate all these targets in Kharkiv. And they're doing the same thing with their artillery systems. They have all their artillery parked right inside of the border, right outside of Ukraine, inside of Russia, and they're just pummeling the Kharkiv Oblast, and Ukraine is not allowed to destroy those artillery pieces. Well, now there's a big push in NATO to allow Ukraine to use, for example, the Swedish Archer long range artillery to destroy all those Grad launchers that Russia has. And Sweden has already approved Ukraine to use their long range weapons to attack Russian military targets in Russia. Finland did the same thing over the weekend, and multiple countries are considering doing this now. NATO has already potentially agreed to it. The NATO parliament has agreed to it. So this could lead to an escalation. We'll have to wait and see. But remember, Russia has put all their tactical nuclear weapons on full combat alert in southern Russia and also in Belarus. And so they're preparing for a showdown with NATO because they're going to invade the Baltics. They're going to try to make a land bridge to Kaliningrad. And so I'm going to be monitoring these events. And when this goes down, I will go live 24/7 if I have to cover it. But that's the latest breaking news that I have. I hope you guys had a great Memorial Day weekend. I may be back later on tonight with another update, so make sure you're subscribed. Hit the bell icon down below so you get notified when I post these updates. Also, check out my Telegram and Twitter. The links to my Telegram and Twitter are in the description below this video. And until later on, take care, God bless, and don't forget the 3 Ps. Prepare, practice, and persevere. Culinary out. Attention hand loaders, check out Cutting Edge Bullets for some of the best bullets in the industry. They also sell loaded ammo now, and I'm partnering with them to give you a 20% discount. And to get the discount, all you got to do is use the promo code NYPrepper to get 20% off your entire order. And Cutting Edge Bullets makes the best bullets for bear defense and for big bore rifles, big bore handguns. They also make some really, really good bullets for long range enthusiasts, very high BC bullets that are turned on a lathe. So check them out, cuttingedgebullets.com. Use the promo code NYPrepper to get 20% off. I've done a lot of testing with their big bore bear defense bullets and solids, and I can tell you that they have the best solids in the business. So I'm going to leave a link to their website and the promo code in the description below this video, but it's cuttingedgebullets.com, promo code NYPrepper to get 20% off of your entire order, and check out some of their new loaded ammo if you're not a hand loader.